Quick wins in drugstore case interaction. Imagine that you have to identify quick wins in cost reduction for an international chain of drugstores. We know the cost structure, and on the basis of that, we'll try to estimate potential savings, as well as to identify which things we can consider quick wins. A few information about them. So they operate in Eastern Europe. They have 4,000 stores. As we said, we have the full cost structure for 1 year. And they've also sent us a list of projects that will help them reduce costs. We'll go through this list in the next lectures. And finally, as said, we have to estimate the potential savings and group projects using quick wins framework. So let's move to the data. We'll first discuss the cost structure of the drugstore chain. And then on the basis of that, we'll try to estimate potential savings as well as to group the projects in 4 categories using quick wins for cost reduction framework. So let's have a look at the data we provided for our drugstore chain case study. So please open a file attached to the lecture, which is called Quick Wins Drugstore version 2. And here in Sheet Master, you'll find a table of content or the things we have in this sheet. We're going to start with the parameters just to give you a quick look of the things we have here. So first of all, we have a cost of 1 FTE, which is different for the store and different for the head office. Then we've got the number of stores in row 15, which is 4,000. We've got number of people per store, 12. Number of people in the head office, this is 600. We've got the revenues that we get by multiplying the number of stores and revenue per store. And then we've got also other costs per head office here. On top of that, we also have the gross margin, which is 29%. Now we're going to use those assumptions to create the cost structure. So let's go to the cost structure analysis. And here you will see that we have all operational costs divided in the following categories. So product sold, labor in stores, labor in head office, depreciation and amortization, which is just something that we put manually, energy and utilities in the same way, rents, store maintenance, consulting services, central warehouse costs, and other external services. And finally, other costs. And now we'll go briefly how we actually estimate each and every position. So in the case of product sold in cost of goods sold, in other words, cost of goods sold, we've got the revenue and then the gross margin, and on the basis of that, we get that we spend 2.8 billion on cost of goods sold. Labor costs, we estimate by looking at the cost of 1 FTE, and then also of number of stores and number of people per store. In a similar manner, we calculate the head office cost. We just simply have a different cost here, so it's almost triple what we've got in the stores. Then when it comes to rents, it's the number of stores and the annual rent per store. Store maintenance, we calculate by assuming certain annual maintenance per store, and we've got number of stores. Central warehouse costs, we assume certain percentage of revenue, so we've got revenue of 4 billion, and then we've got 3% assumed as a cost of logistics. In the very same manner, we estimate the other external services and other costs. So this is just a certain percentage of revenue. So this gives us the 3.8 billion of total costs. Thanks to that, we estimate the EBIT, which is 166 million, and the EBITDA in row 46. Obviously, we can also have them expressed as a percentage. So EBIT expressed as a percentage of revenue, it's 4.2, and then EBITDA, it's 4.5. And we're going to try to increase the EBITDA and EBIT using the certain projects aiming at cost reduction. But this obviously we're going to do in the next lecture. So have a look at the file, see how it is constructed to take into account the drivers and the parameters that we have assumed in the sheet parameters. Let's have a look at the estimation of potential cost reduction. So let's go to the sheet cost reduction. And here you will see that we have named all the potential projects that we are considering. And as you might remember from the theoretical lectures, we said that in order to identify to which group a certain project belongs, we have to have 2 things. So how easy it is to implement certain projects, and then how big the potential savings are. How easy it is to implement, we just select. So we have 2 options. So is it easy or difficult? But then in the case of the potential savings, we want to be more data driven. And we have defined the threshold here. So if a certain saving is above 20 million, we consider this to be big saving. Below that, it's small. So for example, process improvement in stores, it's worth 57 million. We've got the values in column L of potential savings that we have estimated. And then since this is above 20, this is a big saving. When it comes to process improvement in the head office, the potential savings is only 3, so this is in the category of small. Therefore, those projects will go into different categories. Now, how we got the potential savings? Well, we used the cost structure that we have estimated in the cost structure sheet. So for every project, we've got the base. So for example, in the case of process improvement in the stores, the base, the cost position is the cost of labor. And this is worth 567 million. Obviously, here we mean only labor in stores. In the case of the head office, it's 22 million. And this is again just labor and head office. So this is how we got the total cost position. So for every project, we find the cost position that is the most relevant in this case. And what we have to do in column K is estimate the potential reduction that we think we can achieve. And this can be done through a lot of different things. So it can be achieved either through some sort of sampling, some sort of a benchmarking with competitors. You can also do one-day audits. We're going to discuss how to do that in details in the next lectures. But one way or the other, once we multiply the total cost position, which is the current level of the cost, by the potential reduction that we think we can achieve, we get to the potential savings that we can achieve. And on the basis of that, we say whether it's big or small. And this helps us to identify to which category each project should be placed. So once we know how we did it, let's have a look at the category of projects. So as you can see, we've got only 2 projects which we can consider quick wins. So in other words, the cows. So this is process improvement and then renegotiation with suppliers. Then there are some projects like big ones like automation of warehouses, which is a big one, a difficult one. So this is an elephant. And there are a lot of small savings like chickens that we can consider, and 2 which we qualified as bad savings. So they are not worth doing for the time being. In the next lecture, we're going to try to estimate what will be the impact on the EBIT and EBITDA if provided we do some part of those projects that we have identified here. The last thing that you will be tempted to do is simply to estimate what will be the impact on EBIT and EBITDA if you achieve, obviously, the savings that you have estimated. However, in order to do that, you have to decide in column K which things you're going to do. So if you decide to do certain thing, you should put here 1. So here, for example, since we put 1 in cell Q5, it means that we think that we should do the process improvement in the stores. If, again, we've got another 1 here, means also that we should do the process improvement in head office and so on and so forth. In total, below in cell Q16, we've got the savings that we can achieve if we implement those 3 projects. So the one we have decided to do. Bear in mind that we have previously estimated that all projects will generate 180 million. Here we have just selected some of them, and those 3 projects will generate 84 million. And now let's have a look at what would be the impact on EBITDA, and this we have estimated in the sheet summary. In column J, we've got the current level of the values, so EBITDA, percentage EBITDA, and also EBIT, as well as EBIT expressed as a percentage of revenue. In column K, we've got the potential increase due to savings. So you might remember that we said that we are able to generate 84 million if we implement those 3 projects. And then we've got the future value of those indicators after we take into account savings. So for example, if the EBITDA currently is 182 millions and we implement those 3 projects, which are worth 84 million of annual savings, it means that in the future, our EBITDA will be equal to 244 million. And it also means that it will jump from 4.5% to 6.6%. So this is the way you should read that. Obviously, if I change here which projects I do, so for example, I may decide also to do project, which is the renegotiation with suppliers. So I put 1 here as well. Then as you can see, our savings jumped from 84 to 141. And also the values here will change. So they will be adjusted automatically. So have a look at that. And this is the way in which you can link the cost reduction with showing what this means for the profit of the company, be it on the EBITDA level or EBIT level or even net profit. But this is how you should approach it. So first, list the projects, then estimate potential savings on the basis of that, put them into certain categories, identify how easy it is to implement them, and then at the very end decide which one you do. And this will enable you at the very end to estimate what will be your future profit.